Chapter 10 18th Century Political Formations. If you look at map 1 and 2 closely, you will see something significant happening in the subcontinent during the first half of the 18th century. Notice how the boundaries of the Mughal Empire were reshaped by the emergence of a number of independent kingdoms. By 1765, notice how another power, the British, had successfully grabbed major chunks of territory in eastern India. What these maps tell us in that political conditions in 18th century India changed quite dramatically and within a relatively short span of time. In this chapter, we will read about the emergence of new political groups in the subcontinent during the first half of the 18th century, roughly from 1707 when Aurangzeb died till the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761. The crisis of the empire and the later Mughals. In chapter 4, you saw how the Mughal empire reached the height of its success and started facing a variety of crises toward the closing years of the 17th century. These were caused by a number of factors. Emperor Aurangzeb had depleted the military and financial resources of his empire by fighting a long war in the Deccan. Under his successors, the efficiency of the imperial administration broke down. It became increasingly difficult for the later Mughal emperor to keep a check on their powerful mansabdars. Nobles appointed as governors, subedars, often controlled the offices of revenue and military administration, Diwani and Faujdari as well. This gave them extraordinary political, economic and military powers over vast regions of the Mughal Empire. As the governors consolidated their control over the provinces, the periodic remission of revenue to the capital declined. Peasant and Zamindari rebellions in many parts of the northern and western India added to these problems. These revolts were sometimes caused by the pressures of mounting taxes, at other times they were attempts by powerful chieftains to consolidate their own positions. Mughal authority had been challenged by rebellious groups in the past as well, but these groups were now able to seize the economic resources of the region to consolidate their positions. The Mughal emperor after Aurangzeb were unable to arrest the gradual shifting of political and economic authority into the hands of provincial governors, local chieftains and other groups. Rich harvests and empty coffers. The following is a contemporary writer's account of the financial bankruptcy of the empire. The great lords are helpless and empowerment. Their peasants raise 2 crops a year, but their lords see nothing of either, and their agents on the spot are virtual prisoners in the peasant's hand, like a peasant kept in his creditor's house until he can pay his debt. So complete is the collapse of all order and administration that though the peasant reaps a harvest of gold, his lord does not see so much as a wisp of straw. How then can the lord keep the armed force he should? How can he pay the soldiers who should go before him when he goes out, or the horsemen who should ride behind him? In the midst of this economic and political crisis, the ruler of Iran, Nadir Shah, sacked and plundered the city of Delhi in 1739 and took away immense amounts of wealth. This invasion was followed by a series of plundering raids by the Afghan rulers Ahmad Shah Abdali, who invaded North India 5 times between 1748 and 1761. Nadir Shah attacks Delhi. The devastation of Delhi after Nadir Shah's invasion was described by contemporary observers. One described the wealth looted from the Mughal treasury as follows: 60 lakhs of rupees and some thousand gold coins, nearly 1 crore worth of gold ware, nearly 50 crore worth of jewels, most of them unrevealed in the world, and the above included the peacock throne. Another account described the invasion's impact upon Delhi. Those who had been masters were now in dire straits, and those who had been revered couldn't even get water to quench their thirst. The recluse were pulled out of their corners. The wealthy were turned into beggars. Those who once set the style in clothes now went naked, and those who owned property were now homeless. The new city, Shahjahanabad, was turned into rubble. Nadir Shah then attacked the old quarters of the city and destroyed a whole world that existed there. Already under severe pressure from all sides, the empire was further weakened by competition amongst different groups of nobles. They were divided into two major groups or factions. The Iranis and Turanis, nobles of Turkish descent. For a long time, the later Mughal emperors were puppets in the hand of either one or the other of these two powerful groups. The worst possible humiliation came when two Mughal emperors, Farrukh Siyar and Alamgir II, 1754 to 1759, were assassinated, and two others, Ahmad Shah 1748 to 1754 and Shah Alam II 1759 to 1816, were blinded by their nobles. Emergence of new states. With the decline in the authority of the Mughal emperors, the governors of large provinces, subedars, and the great zamindars consolidated their authority in different parts of the subcontinent. Through the 18th century, the Mughal Empire gradually fragmented into a number of independent regional states. Broadly speaking, the states of the 18th century can be divided into three overlapping groups. First, states that were old Mughal provinces like Awadh, Bengal, and Hyderabad, although extremely powerful and quite independent. The rulers of these states did not break their formal ties with the Mughal emperor. Second, states that had enjoyed considerable independence under the Mughal as Watan Jagirs. These included several Rajput principalities. Third, the last group included states under the control of Marathas, Sikhs, and other like the Jats. These were of differing sizes and had seized their independence from the Mughals after a long drawn armed struggle. The old Mughal provinces. Amongst the states that were carved out of the old Mughal provinces in the 18th century, three stand out very prominently. These were Awadh, Bengal, and Hyderabad. All three states were founded by members of the high Mughal nobility who had been governors of large provinces: Saddat Khan, Awadh, Murshid Quli Khan, Bengal, and Asaf Jah, Hyderabad. All three had occupied high mansabdari's positions and enjoyed the trust and confidence of the emperors. Both Asaf Jah and Murshid Quli Khan held a Jat rank of 7,000 each, while Saddat Khan's Jat was 6,000. Hyderabad. Nizam-ul-Mulk Asaf Jah, the founder of Hyderabad state 1724 to 1748, was one of the most powerful members at the court of the Mughal Emperor Farrukh Siyar. He was entrusted first with the governorship of Awadh and later given charge of the Deccan as the Mughal governor of the Deccan provinces during 1720 to 22. Asaf Jah had already gained control over the political and financial administration, taking subsequent advantage of the turmoil in the Deccan and the competition amongst the court nobility. He gathered power in his hand and became the actual ruler of that region. Asaf Jah brought skilled soldiers and administrators from the northern India who welcomed the new opportunities in the south. He appointed mansabdars and granted jagirs. Although he was still a servant of the Mughal emperor, he ruled quite independently without seeking any direction from Delhi or facing any interference. The Mughal emperor merely confirmed the decisions already taken by the Nizam-ul-Mulk Asaf Jah. The state of Hyderabad was constantly engaged in a struggle against the Marathas to the west and with independent Telugu warrior chiefs, Nayakas of the Plateaus. The ambitions of the Nizam-ul-Mulk Asaf Jah to control the rich textile producing area of the Coromandel coast in the east were checked by the British, who were becoming increasingly powerful in that region. The Nizam's army. A description of the Nizam of Hyderabad's personal troopers in 1790s. The Nizam has a cavalry of 400 elephants, several thousands of horsemen near his person, who receive upward 100 rupees nominal pay and are extremely well mounted and richly caparisoned. Awadh. Burhan-ul-Mulk Saddat Khan was appointed Subedar of Awadh in 1722 and founded a state which was one of the most important to emerge out of the breakup of the Mughal Empire. Awadh was a prosperous region controlling the rich alluvial Ganga plain and the main trade route between North India and Bengal. Burhan-ul-Mulk also held the combined offices of Subedari, Diwani, and Fauzdari. In other words, he was responsible for managing the political, financial, and military affairs of the province of Awadh. Burhan-ul-Mulk tried to decrease Mughal influence in the Awadh region by reducing the number of office holders, Jagirdars, appointed by the Mughals. He also reduced the size of Jagirs and appointed his own loyal servants to vacant positions. The accounts of Jagirdars were checked to prevent cheating, and the revenues of all districts reassessed by officials appointed by the Nawab's court. He seized a number of Rajput jamidaris and agriculturally fertile lands of the Afghans of Rohilkhand. The state depended on local bankers and Mahajans for loans. It sold the right to collect tax to the highest bidders. These revenue farmers, ijaradars, agreed to pay the state a fixed sum of money. Local bankers guaranteed the payment of this contracted amount to the state. In turn, the revenue farmers were given considerable freedom in the assessment and collection of taxes. These developments allowed new social groups like moneylenders and bankers to influence the management of the state's revenue system, sometimes which had not occurred in the past. Bengal gradually broke away from Mughal control under Murshid Qali Khan, who was appointed as the Naib deputy to the governor of the province. Although never a former Subedar, Murshid Qali Khan were quickly seized all the power that went with that office. Like the rulers of Hyderabad and Awadh, he also commanded the revenue administration of the state. In an effort to reduce Mughal influence in Bengal, he transferred all Mughal Jagirdars to Orissa and ordered a major reassessment of the revenues of Bengal. Revenue was collected in cash with great strictness from all jamidars. As a result, many jamidars had to borrow money from bankers and moneylenders. Those unable to pay were forced to sell their lands to larger jamidars. The formation of a regional state in 18th century Bengal therefore led to considerable change amongst the jamidars. The close connection between the state and bankers, noticeable in Hyderabad and Awadh as well, was evident in Bengal under the rule of Alivardi Khan, 1740 to 1756. During his reign, the banking house of Jagat Seth became extremely prosperous. If we take a bird's eye view, we can detect three common features amongst these states. First, though many of the larger states were established by erstwhile Mughal nobles, they were highly suspicious of some of the administrative systems that they had inherited, in particular the Jagirdari system. Second, their method of tax collection differed. Rather than relying upon the officers of the state, all three regimes contracted with revenue farmers for the collection of revenue. The practice of ijaradari, though roughly disapproved of by the Mughals, spread all over India in the 18th century. Their impact on the countryside differed considerably. The third common feature in all these regional states was their emerging relationship with rich bankers and merchants. These people lent money to revenue farmers, received land as security, and collected taxes from these lands through their own agents. Throughout India, the richest merchants and bankers were gaining a stake in the new political order. The Watan Jagirs of the Rajput. The Rajput kings, particularly those belonging to Amber and Jodhpur, had served under the Mughals with distinctions. In exchange, they were permitted to enjoy considerable autonomy in their Watan Jagirs. In the 18th century, these rulers now attempted to extend their control over adjacent regions. Ajit Singh, the ruler of Jodhpur, was also involved in the factional politics at the Mughal court. These influential Rajput families claimed the Subedari of the rich provinces of Gujarat and Malwa. Raja Ajit Singh of Jodhpur held the governorship of Gujarat, and Savai Raja Jai Singh of Amber was governor of Malwa. These offices were renewed by Emperor Jahandar Shah in 1713. They also tried to extend their territories by seizing portions of imperial territories neighboring their watans. Nagaur was conquered and annexed to the house of Jodhpur, while Amber seized large portions of Bundi. Savai Raja Jai Singh founded his new capital at Jaipur and was given the Subedari of Agra in 1722. Maratha campaigns into Rajasthan from the 1740s put severe pressure on these principalities and checked their further expansion. Many Rajput chieftains built a number of forts on hilltops which became centers of power with extensive fortifications. These majestic structures housed urban centers, palaces, temples, trading centers, water harvesting structures, and other buildings The Chittorgarh fort contained many water bodies varying from talabs, ponds to kundis wells, Bawlis, step wells, etc. Raja Jai Singh of Jaipur. A description of Raja Jai Singh in a Persian account of 1732. Raja Jai Singh was at the height of his power. He was the governor of Agra for 12 years and the Malwa for 5 or 6 years. He possessed a large army, artillery, and great wealth. His sway extended from Delhi to the banks of the Narmada. Seizing independence, the Sikhs. The organizations of the Sikhs into a political community during the 17th century, see Chapter 8, helped in regional state building in the Punjab. Several battles were fought by Guru Gobind Singh against the Rajput and Mughal rulers both before and after the institution of the Khalsa in 1699. After his death in 1708, the Khalsa rose in revolt against the Mughal authority under Banda Bahadur's leadership, declared their sovereign rule by striking coins in the name of Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh, and established their own administration between the Satluj and the Jammu. Banda Bahadur was captured in 1715 and executed in 1716. Under a number of able leaders in the 18th century, the Sikhs organized themselves into a number of bands called Jathas and later on misals. Their combined forces were known as the Grand Army Dal Khalsa. The entire body used to meet at Amritsar at the time of Baisakhi and Diwali to take collective decisions known as resolution of the Gurnatas. A system called Rakhi was introduced, offering protection to cultivators on the payment of a tax of 20% of the produce. Guru Gobind Singh had inspired the Khalsa with the belief that their destiny was to rule. Raj Karega Khalsa. Their well-knit organization enabled them to put up a successful resistance to the Mughal governors first and then to Ahmad Shah Abdali, who had seized the rich province of the Punjab and the Sarkar of Sirhind from the Mughals. The Khalsa declared their sovereign rule by striking their own coin against in 1765 significantly, and this coin bore the same inscription as the one on the orders issued by the Khalsa in the time of Banda Bahadur. The Sikh territories in the late 18th century extended from the Indus to the Jammu, but they were divided under different rulers. One of them, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, reunited these groups and established his capital at Lahore in 1799. The Marathas. The Maratha kingdom was another powerful regional kingdom to arise out of a sustained opposition to Mughal rule. Shivaji 1627 to 1680 carved out a stable kingdom with the support of powerful warriors, families, Deshmukhs, groups of highly mobile peasant pastoralists, Kunbis provided the backbone of the Maratha army. Shivaji used these forces to challenge the Mughals in the peninsula. After Shivaji's death, effective power in the Maratha state was wielded by a family of Chitpavan Brahmins who served Shivaji's successors as Peshwa or principal ministers. Pune became the capital of the Maratha kingdom. Under the Peshwas, the Marathas developed a very successful military organization. Their success lay by bypassing the fortified areas of the Mughals by raiding cities and by engaging Mughal armies in areas where their supply lines and reinforcements could be easily disturbed. Between 1720 and 1761, the Maratha Empire expanded. It gradually chipped away at the authority of the Mughal Empire. Malwa and Gujarat were seized from the Mughals by the 1720s. By the 1730s, the Maratha king was recognized as the overlord of the entire Deccan Peninsula. He possessed the right to levy Chauth and Sardeshmukhi in the entire region. After raiding Delhi in 1737, the frontiers of Maratha domination expanded rapidly into Rajasthan and the Punjab in the north, into Bengal and Odisha in east, and into Karnataka and Tamil and Telugu countries in the south. These were not formally included in the Maratha Empire but were made to pay tribute as a way of accepting Maratha sovereignty. Expansion brought enormous resources, but it came at a price. These military campaigns also made other rulers hostile towards the Marathas. As a result, they were not inclined to support the Marathas during the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761. Alongside endless military campaigns, the Marathas developed an effective administrative system as well. Once conquest had been completed and Maratha rule was insecure, revenue demands were gradually introduced, taking local conditions into account. Agriculture was encouraged and trade revived. This allowed Maratha chiefs Sardars like Sindhia of Gwalior, Gaikwad of Baroda and Bhosle of Nagpur the resources to raise powerful armies. Maratha campaigns into Malwa in the 1720s did not challenge the growth and prosperity of the cities in the region. Ujjain expanded under Sindhia's patronage and Indore under Holkar's. By all accounts, these cities were large and prosperous and functioned as important commercial and cultural centers. New trade routes emerged within the area controlled by the Marathas. The silk production in the Chanderi region now found a new outlet in Pune. The Maratha capital, Burhanpur, which had early participated in the trade between Agra and Surat, now expanded its hinterland to include Pune and Nagpur in the south and Lucknow and Allahabad in the east. The Jats, like the other states, the Jats consolidated their power during the late 17th and 18th centuries under their leader Churaman. They acquired control over territories situated to the west of the city of Delhi, and by the 1680s they had begun dominating the region between the two imperial cities of Delhi and Agra. For a while they became the virtual custodians of the city of Agra. The Jats were prosperous agriculturists, and towns like Panipat and Ballabgarh became important trading centers in the areas dominated by them. Under Surajmal, the kingdom of Bharatpur emerged as a strong state when Nadir Shah sacked Delhi in 1739. Many of the city notables took refuge there. His son Jawahir Shah had 30,000 troops of his own and hired another 20,000 Marathas and 15,000 Sikh troops to fight the Mughals. While the Bharatpur fort was built in a very traditional style at Dig, the Jats built an elaborate garden palace combining styles seen at Amber and Agra. Its buildings were modeled on architectural forms first associated with royalty under Shah Jahan. See Figure 12 in Chapter 5 and Figure 12 in Chapter 9.